Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Vigil.
And I'm Emily Carlson.
Well, tonight we are hearing from the Wasilla parents of a teenager killed in Afghanistan fighting the Taliban.
Their son, 19-year-old Hanson Kirkpatrick, died July 3rd helping Afghan security forces. KTVA 11's Dave Lavelle has their story. It's largely a move by the House majority to say, hey, we passed a budget. But they can't say it would prevent a government shutdown because they passed it without an effective date. Anyway, the chances the Senate will pass it are slim to none. Delta Airlines is adding summer flights in and out of Alaska's capital city, breaking Alaska Airlines' monopoly, at least for now. Some say they're already finding cheaper tickets. Delta invested in new equipment this year to make landing in Juneau's tough weather conditions safer. Lawmakers are in their second special session, but many aren't in Juneau. As KTVA 11's Liz Raines tells us, much of the political action this week will be happening here in Anchorage. Well, all of that uncertainty over the budget is one of the reasons that Kalis Energy says they are not investing in Alaska. The oil company says they found a discovery that could double the amount of oil in the Alaska pipeline. KTVA 11 Liz Raines has their dilemma. KODIAK secures a patch of federal land to expand their groundbreaking green energy program. Today, the House passed legislation to streamline the expansion of Terror Lake Hydroelectric Project. The island uses nearly 100% renewable energy, using wind and hydropower in tandem. The bill allows KODIAK Electric Association to use up to 20 acres of federal land in the KODIAK Island National Wildlife Refuge without going through extra hoops by the federal government. The construction would increase water resources at Terror Lake by 25%. KEA plans to dig a 1.2-mile underground tunnel so it can meet electricity demands in KODIAK and keep that energy green.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Vigil.
And I'm Emily Carlson.
Trash, squatters, and human feces. Residents in South Anchorage say that's what they're forced to live next to.
KTVA 11's Daniela Rivera explains why the Muni's only solution could take months. A 36-year-old man is guilty of sexually assaulting a mentally handicapped woman. APD says it happened at a Penland Parkway trailer in 2013. Investigators say the woman was born with Down syndrome. Michael Carl's sentencing is scheduled for August. He faces up to 15 years in prison. We now know the name of the man shot and killed by Fairbanks police yesterday. Well, so far the summer is significantly cooler this year in the valley compared to last, but that isn't slowing down farmers who are used to adapting to Alaska's weather. Rempel Family Farm has been harvesting this land in Palmer since 1959. They're known for their sweet carrots and snow apple turnips. Both are growing well in the cooler temperatures and will be harvested in the next 2 weeks. Rempel says the key to farming in Alaska is diversity. Now, the whole thing unfolded with drama usually reserved for a movie plot line, as the night started with a surprise 89-page amendment right before the vote. Well, you could call this the ultimate gift.
Absolutely. This past spring, an Alaskan Airlines pilot donated her kidney to a flight attendant. As
KTVA 11's Lauren Maxwell reports, the women didn't know each other well, but now they have a bond for life. I love that they're so happy and they joke about everything. Jody and Jenny's story has been shared by news outlets around the world. The pair say that's pretty humbling, but it's also pretty exciting because it's helping lots of people learn about the importance of being an organ donor.
Well, it's great to see him back to work and just being normal.
Yeah. Alaska is getting help from British Columbia and the lower 48 to fight wildfires burning across the state. In South Central, crews today searched for the black bear that killed a 16-year-old. State troopers say the body of Patrick Cooper was found near the Bird Ridge Trail yesterday. A volunteer Karelian bear dog was among the searchers. The dog found evidence the bear was wounded by a ranger's rifle, but that's about it. Governor Bill Walker wants the public to get involved after the House majority rejected his budget compromise yesterday. The state is less than 1 month away from a government shutdown since lawmakers have not passed a budget yet. The governor says Alaska is in a crisis and lawmakers must compromise. Well, the NTSB says the pilot killed in last month's deadly crash near Haines turned off one of his engines on purpose. David Kanat is already up and running today after the signing. Uber will launch its services tomorrow. Drivers we spoke with say they hope it can be a flexible second job, but it's now making some taxi drivers worried they'll be out of work.
KTVA 11 News, this is Nightcast.
Good evening, I'm Emily Carlson. This just in within the last 5 minutes. An Anchorage firefighter was severely injured today during a training exercise. Fellow firefighters brought the injured person to the hospital. More information will be released tomorrow. The family asked that their privacy be respected. In Juneau today, House leadership rejects the governor's attempt to strike a compromise on the state budget, just hours after he released his proposal. Today, Governor Bill Walker met with all 4 caucuses to present an outline for moving forward. His plan includes a modified version of the House's oil tax legislation, a head tax to raise money for education funding, and a motor fuels tax.
Good evening, I'm Joe Vigil.
And I'm Emily Carlson. A group looking to open a marijuana business downtown was hoping to get a special land use permit approved by the Muni tonight. Some famous tourists are about to check a trip to Alaska off their bucket list. Oprah Winfrey and CBS's Gayle King explored Juneau today as part of their Live Your Best Life cruise collaboration with O Magazine and Holland America. Oprah said that seeing Alaska has always been a dream for her. The tour will stop several places in Southeast.
I'm glad they're here. It should be a fun little trip for them.
No, they've seen eagles and salmon. They seem really excited to experience everything that we have to offer. The governor gave lawmakers some homework before a third special session, find a compromise on the capital budget. For the first time in years, lawmakers failed to pass a capital budget by the start of the fiscal year, which was July 1st. Now that means road and construction projects could be delayed, and federal funds could be in jeopardy. Alaska's capital city is the biggest tourist destination in the state, and this is the first season for pot shops there. Sure, they're cute, but don't let a pair of baby moose get you in trouble as you head out of town. These sleepy twins were born just a few days ago near the Glen Highway and the Fort Rich overpass. Since their birth, Anchorage police have received over 100 911 calls from people concerned about the family. Now that ties up emergency lines and creates all sorts of problems. The Department of Transportation also warns people not to stop and take a picture like all these people are doing today. It's a long holiday weekend and the DOT wants everyone to do their part to avoid causing a crash. It's so funny, we see moose all the time around town. They're super common, yet every time we see one, we got to stop and take a picture. But not this time. Don't do it.
True. We're going to get a breeze, but certainly getting some sunshine.
Welcome aboard the Stagel Stuga. Mark Swanson bought it to enjoy retirement with wife Emmy.
All right.
Its name is Swedish for relaxing retreat. That is, until they discovered that shrimping was addicting.
Ours are round buckets, round about like this.
And while their enthusiasm was high,
in they go. Oh, yay, Mr. Crab stayed out.
Mark and Emmy found they had a lot to learn.
And their whole theory is set your pots where other people set their pots, because I don't want to gross you out, but shrimp are kind of like cockroaches. They go where there's food.
The two tried a lot of spots before they settled on this one.
I can't see it from here.
The current can be strong in Prince William Sound, and Mark and Emmy lost a lot of their pots.
At first we thought, oh, somebody's stealing our shrimp pots, or somebody's pulling our shrimp pots, and we were just setting them on a slope. And then the tide would come in and they would just float away.
7 years later, the Swansons are seasoned shrimpers. They know how deep to drop their pots.
Yeah, 188.
About 200 feet.
It smells really icky.
And they've gotten used to the potent smell of kibble and herring bait.
If we get a gallon, we're pretty happy. A gallon is about 50 shrimp.
Between their 4 pots, that's exactly how many we landed. There are 5 species of shrimp in Alaska, and today we caught 3.
There's a striped shrimp, another stripe, and then a spot.
And there's also a pink shrimp. Since they're bottom feeders, Emmy rinses them in salt water and then throws them in fresh water.
They're starting to really pink up now. Oh my goodness, he's a big one.
Then it's time to rip the heads off.
Unscrew it. 6, 7, 8, 9.
That's because the best part of this whole experience is about to happen.
And I have a little basket here that I'll put the shrimp in so that I don't lose them.
Emmy turns on the grill.
Because losing a shrimp is not a good thing to do.
Then reaches for our delicacies.
Oh, no!
But in this boat, we follow the 5-second rule. Mark scrubs the floors on a regular basis.
My tolerance for mud is low.
Disaster averted. And now it's time to eat.
There we go. Shrimp.
Emmy swears the shrimp are better than lobster. They rarely make it off the boat. Emily Carlson, KTVA 11 News.
All right, thanks, Joe. To say that Alaska depends on oil is a gross misunderstatement. Oil revenue makes up 90% of the state's budget, which lately has been billions short. That's because oil production is declining rapidly. Tomorrow is the 40th anniversary of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, or TAPS. Tonight, we look at the challenges that come with age.
800 miles of pipeline, the veins that pump life into Alaska's economy. 40 years ago, it put a rough and tumble state and its people on the map.
This is like my little pipeline box, old paycheck stubs.
Diane Benson was just 19 when she bid on a truck driving job. Her salary tripled, but working in a man's world wasn't easy.
He says, "You got more balls than most men I know, so I'm going to teach you whatever I can in an hour," because that's what we have.
Diane was one of 70,000 people who helped build the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, a modern marvel by 1974 standards. Many said it couldn't be done. 15,000 trucks used 10 million gallons of fuel. 29 construction camps stretched across the state.
Current weather at Chandelar. Temperature is 0.
Many cities that protected workers in some of the harshest conditions.
It's the most dangerous job I've ever seen.
The biggest obstacle in the history of pipeline engineering was here at avalanche-prone Thompson Pass, where engineers designed a cable system to fly pipe into places only mountain climbers ventured. Many refused to work.
Nothing to compare.
Danger,
No mountain like Thompson Pass.
was an everyday feeling for many people.
I have a heart that still functions after all that fear for 3 solid years.
Against all odds, the first oil entered the pipeline on June 20th, 1977. It was gangbusters. 10 years later, 2 million barrels a day. But today, most of the easy crude has been sucked out of Prudhoe Bay, and the line now moves just a quarter of what it once did.
At the height of production, it took 4 days for the oil to flow from Prudhoe Bay down to Valdez. Today, it takes 4 times as long. Right now, the oil is flowing just about as fast as I'm walking. A 16-day trip to move through the pipeline.
Every day is a new day, and it gets harder. It gets more challenging.
It's Robinette's job to troubleshoot those challenges.
Wax, wax, wax.
He says less oil in the pipeline starts an ugly chain of events that could be too powerful to stop.
The longer it takes TAPS to move oil with lower flows, the more time it has to cool off.
The cooler the oil, the more solid wax builds up. Too much, and the pipeline clogs up. All of the hazardous material has to be removed by hand, collected in barrels, and shipped out of state. In a 2011 study, Alyeska Pipeline found the pipeline can't operate safely below 350,000 barrels a day during the winter. The state says we'll hit that number in less than 10 years.
The expected field life was 20 years. So we built the pipeline to last 30 years. Well, here we are at 40.
So at this major milestone, many are asking, how much life is left in the pipeline?
Well,
Diane Benson says 40 years ago they troubleshooted on the fly, like the time her window blew out on a blustery winter night in Prudhoe Bay.
I took off my flannel shirt and I hung it over. I duct taped it, duct tape everything. So, duct taped it over the hole. Good old Alaskan style,
She hopes there's another clever fix in the works to keep Alaska's lifeline running for another 40 years. Now, tomorrow night, we talk with the team charged with engineering their way out of low oil flow, no matter the cost. After a slight tick up last year, oil production is expected to continue to decline every year for at least the next 10 years. We ask, at what point does it not make sense anymore to run oil through TAPS?
Definitely some interesting questions.
Lots to learn, lots to know. Tomorrow night we'll hear more about the problems and then how they're trying to fix those problems.
All right, very good.